Hello everyone, welcome back. So all of the cards have now been revealed. We've seen the whole set for Uldum. So today I've got 48 of the remaining cards to show you. It's going to be a long video. I'll try and get through them as quickly as possible. But let's start with one that I wanted to show first because it's probably one of the most interesting cards ever printed for Hearthstone, which is saying something, definitely. This is Zephyrus The Grey. It's a legendary for 2 mana. And it has the Battlecry: if your deck has no duplicates, wish for the perfect hand. It's an elemental as well, which I think is insignificant. But, wow, what does this mean? There's a lot to unpack with this card because it is very strange. But firstly, it has to go into a singleton deck of these Highlander decks. And to be honest, they need something like this. I think those decks aren't really strong enough on their own right now. The league, all of the explorers to me just seemed a little bit underwhelming. Yes, they have these powerful effects, but the downsides seem too much. Well, this is a good one to go into it, and let me explain what the wish for the perfect card means. That basically means that Blizzard has coded this card so that the AI will pick a random card from the classic and basic sets. So not random, but they'll pick a card from the classic and basic set, which is perfect for your situation. So, for example, if your opponent has 6 health left and you play this, then it will give you a fireball because then you can have lethal. Maybe it will give you Leroy Jenkins so that you can do lethal with it. If your opponent's got a big board, you can play this and it will give you a board clear. So, something like Flame Strike. Now, it's very difficult to say whether this card's good or not. One, because we haven't tested how it works. Sometimes, I mean, we don't know it works well. They would have tested it a lot. I imagine that it will work. They've restricted it just to classic and basic cards, so I think it's made it easier for them to kind of make sure you always get the wish that you want. But it's just going to be so interesting to play with this card and work out how it actually comes together. Now, what's going to be really interesting about this card is because you know it's coming from the classic and basic sets. Actually, when you play this card is going to be really important because you could potentially have this in your hand and miss lethal without even knowing it, because you can be, if you play this and get a card from the classic and basic set, it might be something which can get you that lethal, and the AI knows it, and it's up to you to kind of put that puzzle together with cards that you don't even have. So that's a pretty sort of high level card to play with, I think, in that respect. Otherwise, it's just sometimes you'll play it and go, oh, right, thanks. Yeah, I do have lethal now, and it will be quite impressive. But if you play it on 2, like turn 2, the stats are nice, and what they've said as well is likely it will give you a 3-drop that you can play the next turn. Something like that, so you can curve in quite nicely. So that's not going to give you the highest power level of this card, but it could be quite important. So, yeah, a really cool card. I never, like, this is a card I would never have considered them like putting in the game. It's just really interesting, really unique, and I'm looking forward to playing with it. And something that these Highlander singleton decks, they need this. They need something extra special that sets them apart from just running a deck with 2 copies. So, yep, pretty cool. Next, we've got the Hyena Alpha, and I imagine you're going to see a lot of this card. It's a beast itself. It's 4 mana, 3 attack, 3 health, and it's just for Hunter. Battlecry: if you control a secret, summon 2/2 hyenas. So, wow, this is a 4 mana 7/7. If you've got a secret up in Hunter, which isn't very hard to do because that only costs 2 mana, so if you're playing Secret Hunter, then you play this, you get 4 mana 7/7 in stats. Now, I don't think it's as good as having a single 4 mana 7/7 on the board, because at that stage in the game, and why 4 mana 7/7s have been strong in the past, is because your opponent can't deal with it. Whereas if you've got a 3/3 and 2/2/2s, it's still very strong, but you could clear that with a Hellfire, for example. So it's much easier to deal with, but it has other advantages of you being able to make more efficient trades potentially with the extra minions. And all 3 of the cards that come out of it are beasts, and we know how well that synergizes with Hunter. So this card's very strong. It's not very hard for your opponent to trigger a secret, though, in Hunter. So if you played a secret on turn 3, and then you wanting to play this on turn 4, your opponent could just trigger the secret, and then you don't have a secret to play with this. And then it's a 4 mana 3/3, which isn't great. But you could just plan to play this when you do have a secret up. You can play something like Rat Trap, which is difficult to trigger. You could play something like the new one, which requires your opponent to play a spell. So yeah, this is a very strong card, and If secrets are going to be good in Hunter, which I think they are, they will continue to be, especially while Zul'jin's still around, then Hyena Alpha will definitely see play. Next we've got Ancestral Guardian. This is Paladin only, 4 mana, 4 attack, 2 health, lifesteal and Reborn. I don't like this card so much. It goes into a Quest Paladin deck because it's Reborn. If you use the quest on this, it will give you a 2/2 with lifesteal and Reborn. It's not great, is it? But this, in a heal Paladin deck, this can give you a lot of healing because it will come back as a 4/1. Your opponent will probably have to kill it with 2 trades, and that heals you for 8. That's pretty nice, but also they can remove this very easily with all sorts of AoE in the game. 2 damage and then 1 damage with something else. It's not very difficult to get rid of. I don't really see many decks that will want to play this other than helping you complete the quest. It's just not that great. The Cultist of Cthulhu, I think it was called. No, Cthulhu's Chosen was a 4 mana 4/2 with Divine Shield, and that was only played because of the +2/+2 to Cthulhu. It had similar stats to this, but it wasn't really played outside of a Cthulhu deck because the stats just aren't good enough. It's very easy to trade away, so I don't really like this card. But if Reborn minions are required, then it will be played. Now we have the Hunter quest, which is interesting. Unseal the Vault. It's 1 mana. Quest summons 20 minions, and the reward is Ramkin Roar. So what that is it changes your hero power to 2 mana. Give your minions +2 attack. In Hunter, that is really good, right? Hunter likes to go wide with lots of smaller minions. Give them all 2 attack. That's pretty huge. How easy is it to complete this quest? That's going to be the question. Summon 20 minions. You don't have to play them. You can just summon them. So Hunter has got Unleash the Hounds. So in 1 turn, you can summon 7 minions, potentially. But I see Unleash the Hounds as kind of something you want to do once you've completed the quest, because you can summon 7 minions, then use your hero power, and they've all got 3 attack that can go charge. That's pretty impressive for Hunter. Now, downside, of course, is you lose your deal 2 damage hero power to the opponent. That's pretty significant. You'll probably be able to make up for it for giving all of your minions +2 attack. So it's very nice. Also, it's permanent +2 attack. It's not like a give them 2 attack this turn. And the fact that it gives it to more than 1 minion, I think, is what is going to set this apart. I don't really know whether this card will get played, though, because Hunter's so powerful at the moment, just playing different spells, big beasts, small beasts, and Zul'jin. Do they really need this? Is this something that they really want? I don't know. We'll have to see. There's some more cards coming I'll discuss later which help you to summon minions. But yeah, it's okay. It's kind of, I think it's one of the weaker quests, to be honest. Summoning 20 minions probably won't be that hard, but it's not going to be done too early. Depending on how you build your deck, I don't think you're going to be doing this before turn 8, 9, or 10, something like that. So yeah, let's see. I think it is probably one of the weaker ones, though. Next, we've got Mischief Maker, which is a 3 mana 3/3. Battlecry, swap the top card of your deck with your opponent's. So this is a cool card. It's a combo disruptor, which ultimately I don't think will see play. Basically, taking a card off your opponent will be good, because if they're playing a combo deck, you could steal their combo piece. It will be a good card, because otherwise they wouldn't have put it in their deck, but it won't synergize with yours, and you have to give them one of your cards, which you don't know what that card is, because it's the top of your deck too. So you could give them something you really wanted, but this kind of thing is really fun. I don't think it's going to see play. The examples where it would be really good is if there are some intense combo decks. I mean, maybe if you stole somebody's Sheer Valor in OTK Paladin, that would be good, but no, I don't expect to see much of this one. Fun though. This next one is for Paladin. It's a spell called Subdue. It's 2 mana. Set a minion's attack and health to 1. This is a very strong card that I don't know how much play is going to come from it. But basically, if you imagine the Shrink Ray, which is 5 mana, this is just a single target Shrink Ray. And that can be really useful at any time. So 2 mana to effectively remove a minion, right? That's very strong. Changing a minion to 1/1 effectively negates its presence on the board, and also makes it very easy for you to trade in. Paladin's hero power summons 1 mana 1/1s. They can trade in quite easily. So it fits into Paladin very nicely. But it's all meta dependent. So if you're playing an aggressive paladin deck, I don't know whether you would want to play this, to be honest. Are you going to be able to play a control paladin deck? This would go into it, but do they really have the tools for that? I don't know. It depends on the meta, what you're playing against. And so dealing with giants and things, this is amazing, really. But I don't know. I don't see too much use for it at the moment. While Pyromancer is a good way to get rid of 1/1s, it could be played, but very strong spell that depends on the meta and the deck you're playing. Now, one of my favourite cards. This is Octo. He's an 8 mana 8/8 beast with the death rattle of draw 8 cards. He's a neutral legendary, so this can go into any deck. Now, initially, you look at this, wow, 8 cards. This is so much value in one card. It's crazy. Now, let's imagine it didn't have a death rattle. Playing an 8 mana 8/8 is pretty slow on the turn you play it, so cheating these sort of cards out is nice. But when you consider you can draw 8 cards from it, you can think, wow, so much value. But ultimately, this is too many cards. Now, in most decks, this is too many cards for you to draw, and you're going to be overdrawing cards, right? I think if you get to turn 8 and you've got an empty hand, then this is huge. But a lot of decks that can afford to play an 8/8 will have more cards in their hand, and then you're just going to overdraw a lot. So I see this one as more of a funny card that's going to come out of Conjurer's Calling, any kind of evolve effects, and in that case, it's bad for you, and your opponent will want to kill it to overdraw you a bunch of cards. Now, Mage is also playing Luna's Pocket Galaxy a lot, so you'd have to be careful if you decide, because even if you just draw 3 cards to them and they burn 5, they might be 3/1 mana minions. So it's something to consider. But Cyclone Mage is always filling their hands, etc. So if the Conjurer's Calling into this, ultimately I think it will be bad for them. So that's kind of where it's going to be quite funny. And they can't Conjurer's Calling it into something else, because if you Conjurer's Calling it, it will kill it and you'll get the Death Rattle effect. So yeah, ultimately I think this is going to be a mill type card where you're going to try and overdraw your opponent in some elaborate ways. I think they might build some more cards into it in future sets which can allow you to give this to your opponent, that kind of thing. I don't know. But really fun card, pretty cool. And for aggro decks, it's not a great card to play when you play it, but refilling your hand like that, as we saw with the Paladin spell, the Divine Favor, that just redrew your cards equal to your opponent's hand, it's huge. That is huge for an aggro deck to be able to do that. So maybe, but I don't see it. I think it's just more of a bit of a meme. Next up, we've got Body Wrapper, 4 mana, 4/4, Battlecry. Discover a friendly minion that died this game and shuffle it into your deck. Discover is pretty important because you can choose what died and then put it back into your deck. So it doesn't put it into your hand, it doesn't bring it back into play, it puts it into your deck. Now, where is that going to be important? With Death Rattle, well, any good minion really, but there's going to be Death Rattle synergies here, there's going to be Battlecry synergies here, but I think Highlander decks and Singleton decks are going to probably maybe want to play this, because imagine if you're playing Mage and you can discover Reno Jackson because you've already played him and he's died. That's another 6 mana board clear for you. So being able to play your Explorer again would be pretty important. The problem is it only discovers 3 minions, so you get a choice of 3. So yeah, I mean, how many minions are going to have died? What are the chances of you getting the one back that you want? So I think this one will be experimented with, but ultimately I don't think it will be played. If you're playing a deck mostly of spells and then you've got something like Malagos in there, it could be good, but yeah, I don't see too much else. Oasis Surgery is for Druid, a very good card, this one. A 5 mana 3/3 Elementor with Rush, but it has a choose one effect, so remember the Druid quest can give you both of these effects if you've completed the Druid quest. Gain +2/+2 or summon a copy of this minion. So what that means, if you haven't finished a quest, you can either have a 5/5 with Rush, or you can have 2 3/3s with Rush. 2 3/3s with Rush is great because you can direct the damage at different targets. A 5/5 with Rush is also great because you can rush it into something and it survives and has a bit of a threat presence on the board too. So a really solid card, but once you complete the quest, this is a 5 mana summon 2 5/5s with Rush. I mean, I don't even need to explain how good that is. It is very strong, and something in which makes the quest kind of worth playing, because you can put 2 of these in your deck. You can duplicate them with Elise Starseeker potentially. I don't know whether that would be worthwhile, but yeah, a really cool card. Next we have the Phalanx Commander, 5 mana, 4 health, 5 attack. Your taunt minions have +2 attack. I don't think this is a good card. It maybe goes into Taunt Warrior if you've got a bunch of taunts on the board. There's also the one that new card that summons 1/1 Scarabs. Maybe if you've got a bunch of them, giving them +2 attacks, alright. But always cards like this that give specific other minions and not actually all the minions on the board buffs, they never really see much play. Taunt minions do need extra attack because they're often statted with higher health and lower attack because of the nature of the card. So you can get some powerful situations from this, but ultimately I don't think you want to put it in your deck. Next we have Dune Sculptor, and a lot of the classes have got 3 mana 3/3s, which are very good. This one for mage is no different. It's really strong. After you cast a spell, add a random mage minion to your hand. Refilling your hand is really good for mountain giants. It's really good anyway, in any instance. Getting random mage minions when you're a mage yourself is going to be good because it will synergize with everything. You're going to be getting Calicos, maybe not Jan'alai, but some of the other ones. There's going to be some really strong things you can do here. Mage has also got loads of ways to play a lot of spells in the same turn. So Ray of Frost, for example, play it with the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and all their 1 mana spells become 0, and you just keep regenerating your hand and getting loads of strong extra hand size, and just helping you stay in the game with extra options. I think it's a very good card. Does Mage need this? Like, they already generate a lot of cards in their hand. Are you going to be overdrawing if you play that? That's something that's going to be played with. But the effect is so good that I think you would probably try and shoehorn it in, or there will be a separate kind of deck surrounded around playing this. Astromancer is another reason to play this card, because getting your hand space bigger, then you play your Astromancer for a bigger minion to come off of that Battlecry. So, yeah, really good 3/3. Blizzard kind of went all out with these high-powered 3-drops. Not every class has got one. Druid doesn't, for example, but still this one's good. Serpent Egg, 2 mana, 0 attack, 3 health, Death Rattle summon a 3/4 Serpent. This is effectively a Zoo deck type card. Warlock would like this because you can Grim Rally it and it gives you a 3/4 as a Death Rattle. I don't know why it's got 3 health. I don't think we've ever seen an egg with 3 health, have we? I'm not sure. But yeah, it's alright. It goes into Zoo decks. Anything that wants to kill your own minions and buff other ones, or buff this one first, and then it has a strong Death Rattle, is pretty good. We all know what sort of decks eggs go into, and this one's good. 2 mana to have something which synergizes with the rest of your deck, and a 3/4 is pretty strong. So yeah, I think this will go into Zoo. Next we've got Spitting Camel, a 2 mana, 2 attack, 4 health beast. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to another random friendly minion. I don't think the stat buff on this card is worth it. I don't really think so. It's not got much of a threat itself. It's only got 2 attack. It's got extra health, but it does 1 damage to another minion on the board. Ultimately, I think these kind of cards are just awkward. If you're putting extra stats on the board for a drawback, you want it to be more aggressive, usually, in my opinion. This one isn't very aggressive. I don't really like it, but I could be wrong, but it doesn't look very special. Next we have Dwarven Archeologist. This one's quite interesting. 2 mana, 2 attack, 3 health. After you discover a card, reduce its cost by 1. Now, yeah, this could go into a lot of different decks because, one, the stats are pretty good. You can play this on 2 without actually getting its effect, and it's kind of nice. But after you discover a card, reduce its cost by 1. The majority of discover cards are random. We looked at the card earlier, which could discover a minion that's already died from your deck, and then shuffle another one in. So reducing the cost of that by 1 could be a way that you could make some kind of combo work. But most of the time, you're just getting cards that are completely random and from outside of your deck. And it's kind of like, does reducing the cost of it by 1 really matter? I mean, it's very nice, it's powerful, but do you want to put this into your deck? I don't really think so. I don't think it adds enough value, because ultimately you're not often not discovering loads and loads of cards, and even if you are, it's very difficult to keep a 2-3 on the board while you discover all these cards. So yeah, I think it's okay. It's got a nice effect without any stat drawback, so it might see play, but ultimately it doesn't really seem powerful enough. Swarm of the Locust. This is a 6 mana spell for Hunter. It's rare. Summon 7 1/1 Locusts with Rush. So this is the sort of card that will go into Quest Hunter, because just by playing this 6 mana spell, you summon 7 minions in contribution to summoning 20 that you need to complete the quest. So there's a lot of minions to summon. Now, 6 mana to do 7 damage to the board is nice. But we know that Hunter, these Locusts will be beasts. We know Hunter loves buffing beasts. They have lots of other cards which can buff the attack of any minion on the board. So, yeah, this can be very versatile. You could see a situation where you're actually summoning 7 1/1s. If you complete the quest, you can give them +2 attack. They can't go face like Unleash the Hounds would, but some really efficient trades there. It can buff your Scavenging Hyena, because they're all beasts. There's lots of good implications. Anytime you put Rush and Beast into Hunter, it will be very good. I don't know whether you would play this outside of trying to complete the quest, though. Like I said, it would be a good play, but it completely, in my opinion, completely ruins a Zul'jin, right? Because Zul'jin, you can summon, there's a lot of ways to summon good beasts, and you can have a big Gul'dan-esque board at the end of it. With this, you're just summoning, if it casts first, you summon 7 1/1s, and then you might not summon any more minions after that. And you might die Frenzy, a 1/1 that goes into your deck. It's not as good as other options. So, yeah, it's a good card. I think the power level's nice. I just don't know, outside of a quest deck, are you going to play this? We'll see. Next up, we have Sandhoof, a Water Bearer, 5 mana 5/5. At the end of your turn, restore 5 health to a damaged friendly character. So this is like Ragnar's Light Lord Light, because he's only 5 mana. This Quest Priest would like this because restoring health is important to completing that quest. Priest also has so many ways to buff the health of minions with their new legendary, with extra arms, with Divine Spirit, Inner Fire, all that kind of stuff. Wants them to have high health minions. This is good because if you restore any minion kind of 3 health or above, it's going to be a strong play. The minion itself isn't great, but I think this card could go into that deck. I don't know whether you would play this in just a standard priest deck outside of wanting heal synergies. It can be really good, but it's a random character, so it can heal your face or it can heal one of the other minions. So it's quite nice. I think it will be tried with Quest Priest. Remains to be seen whether, 1, they need that level of healing. Maybe they can get it quicker elsewhere. And 2, whether it's just too much of a loss of tempo playing a 5/5. We'll see, though. It's got a good effect attached to a reasonable body. Next, we've got the Volpera Scoundrel, which is a 3 mana, 2 attack, 3 health, Battlecry, discover a spell, or pick a mystery choice. So the way this card works is basically you get to discover 3 cards as normal, 3 spells. And if you don't like those, there is a 4th option. This is how I think it works anyway. There's a 4th option you can just pick, and it will be a random spell completely. Now, whether or not the random spell can come from any class is because discover cards usually from your class. Maybe the random spell will give you something from a completely different class. It's pretty good because a 3 mana 2/3 discover a spell is nice. You get an option of 3, and if those are all trash or not really what you want, you can just pick the mystery, and it could be anything. So it could be quite fun. The stats are quite weak for a 3 mana card, but the discover effect's really good. So actually, I think this card could see some play. I don't really know what sort of deck it would go into, though. What sort of deck actually needs this? It would be interesting to find out. But this is a fun card. It would be cool. Sometimes you get really funny mysteries. Hopefully the mystery is the puzzle box of Yogg-Saron. We'll see. But yeah, an interesting card. Very difficult to say whether you would want to play it. But if it didn't have a mystery choice, I think it's still pretty good. And the mystery choice is just an added benefit because you don't have to pick it. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe I'll do, when I play it, I'll just always pick the mystery box. Next, we've got the Golden Scarab, which is the 3 mana 2/2 beast. Battlecry, discover a 4-cost card. This I don't think is very good. The idea of these cards is you play it on 3, and it gives you a guaranteed 4-drop to play. That 4-cost card could be a spell or a minion. So that can be quite nice for you to curve out. But the problem is, you've curved out with the 3 mana 2/2, which is bad, and then you've played a random 4-drop, which could be good or could be bad. You don't really know. It's better to put good 3-drops and good 4-drops into your deck. So that's where I see the weakness of this. Obviously, the benefit is you play a card and generate a card, so it gives you extra card generation. But I don't know. I don't see why you would want to play this. To be honest, it's not. The stats are too weak. It's too slow. And discovering a random 4-cost card, do you really want that? Next, we have the Armored Goon, 6 mana, 6/7. Whenever your hero attacks, gain 5 armor. This is a powerful effect. Being able to gain 5 armor is almost like giving your hero immune when you attack, right? Because if you trade it with a minion with 5 attack, it means you'll gain 5 armor and lose 5 health, and you're net 0, which is pretty nice. If you equip Salt Rays and you can attack 4 times in the same turn, you can gain a bunch of armor. It synergizes with the Warrior Quest. The stats 6 mana, 6/7 is okay. So could it see play? Well, Warrior loves to get armor. There's lots of other synergies with armor that it would like. So yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't play this in a Quest Warrior deck. I don't think you'd play it in too many other decks. I don't think it's worth playing in Control Warrior, even though you're playing Weapons Project and also the Super Collider. But I don't think it would take a slot in that deck. But it has a really powerful effect that there will be some deck that wants it. So pretty nice, actually. Next, we have the Mogu Flesh Shaper, which is a 7 mana 3/4, so terrible stats. But it has Rush, which is always nice. Costs 1 less for each minion on the battlefield. Now, ultimately, I think this card is okay. But any card that can cost 0, you should not ever discount from the game. I think there will be situations and decks where this will be very, very good. 7 mana, you only need to have 7 other minions on the board and it's 0 mana. Now, how do you do that? Well, Shaman loves to do this. They love to make tokens. You can do that with the Thunderhead. You can overload, summon more 1/1s. It's not very hard to make this a reduced cost card. Now, if you could get 4 minions on the board, that doesn't have to be yours, it can be your opponent's as well, then this is a 3 mana 3/4 with Rush. It's great. I don't really see that situation being that uncommon. So in certain decks, this is a very powerful card. Just an extra tempo play for you that you can trade with immediately because it's got Rush. I mean, even if it didn't have Rush, you might play this in some decks because it's just very nice to be able to play a very low cost 3/4. So I quite like it. It's only going into token decks, but yeah, why not? Also, if there's a meta where Token Druid is very strong or Murlocs are very strong, then this card combats them very well because it's a way for you to trade into their important Murlocs. And you could almost maybe pay 0 mana for it. So, a pretty cool card. Bug Collector is a 2 mana 2/1 Battlecry summon a 1/1 Locust with Rush. This is okay. This is pretty good. One, it's a Battlecry, which has all these other Battlecry synergies with the Shaman Quest, etc. The 1/1 Locust has Rush, so it's a way for you to play a weak 2-drop with 1/1 of extra stats that does damage. It's okay. The Locust is a beast, so maybe Hunter would like this. The quest wants you to summon minions, so this is a way for you to summon 2 minions in 1, so it could go into there. Oh, yeah, pretty good card. Next, we have the Quicksand Elementor, which is 2 mana, 3 attack, 2 health. Battlecry, give all enemy minions -2 attack this turn. It's an elemental. This is a very, very good card. It's a good card for you to play on turn 2, not because you'll get much use out of the effect, but because the stats are okay. But this is like a cool card to play later on in the game and just give you some really efficient trades with enemy minions. Now, it's only for 1 turn that they get -2 attack, but if you're trading minions in, which is a lot of what Hearthstone's about, getting the extra value from them having less attack can be huge. So this is a good neutral minion which I think will definitely find its place in some decks. I think lots of cards like lots of decks like Zoo, for example, they love trading and controlling the board and keeping their minions on the board. This is a very good way to do that. Naga Sandwich, forever now known as the Sandwich, is 5 mana, 5/5, tasty. Battlecry, change the cost of spells in your hand to 5. Now, this obviously what you want to do with this is you want to reduce high cost cards down to 5. So Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron, you can now play it with a 5/5 on the board, because you play this, it gets reduced to 5, and then you play it on the same turn if you've got 10 mana. You could also reduce 2 Pyroblasts down to 5 mana, which means that you could do 20 damage in one turn if you want the next turn. The problem is, Mage has got so many low cost spells, and you don't want to increase the cost of those spells to 5. There is one instance where you would with King Phaoris, because then it summons bigger minions for King Phaoris, but why would you want to do that just for one turn? If you don't win the game with King Phaoris, then your 1 mana spells all cost 5, and it's a bit of a waste. So I think this will see a spot, maybe in an OTK type deck. A big spell mage would like this, but is it enough value? We'll see. Because ultimately, lots of decks, if you're playing big spells, you don't want them to be in your hand so much, because if you've got 3 big spells in your hand, that's limited your previous turns, right? What have you been able to use because you've had these 3 dead cards in your hand? Once you play this, yes, they become really powerful, but is it too late by then? We'll see. But a powerful effect, being able to reduce a card by up to 5 mana is pretty huge. Now we've got the Desert Hare, 3 mana, 1/1, Battlecry, summon 2 1/1 Desert Hares. The Desert Hares don't have Rush, so it's just summon 3 1/1s for 3. They're all beasts, which will be important for Hunter. They summon extra minions is important for their quest. Outside of that, I don't think it will see play. Token Druid maybe, but Hunter would like this type of card. But even though they would like it, I don't know whether they'll find space to squeeze this in, to be honest. Buffing the minions, buffing the attack is easy, but not for me. Next we have the Blatant Decoy, which is a 6 mana 5/5, which has a death rattle. Each player summons the lowest cost minion from their hand. This is another combo disruptor type card, but it also has the added benefit of being a tempo swing kind of value generator for you. If you're playing dual paladin and all you've got is big cost minions, when this comes out of dual, it trades and dies, you will then summon a big minion, that's a theory, and your opponent will summon any minion. It could also be a big minion, it could disrupt their combos, or it could be a 1-drop, and in which case it's very nice for you. So you could be pulling your Sarah out and they're pulling just a random 1-drop, and it's good, right? That sort of effect is good. The problem is it's a death rattle, so like I mentioned, you could trigger it off of dual, but triggering it other ways is quite hard, because it can get silenced, or you can't particularly control when it happens. But I like this card. I think it's got lots of implications. It's a complicated card, which I think can be used in a lot of different ways. It could be used as your own combo generator as well, because it's a way to cheat out a minion which you wouldn't have the mana to play originally. So yeah, I don't think you play this in a deck like Zoo where you've got lots of little minions, but there will be a lot of cool examples of kind of combo decks or just getting big value generation out of this card. So I quite like it. I don't know whether it's got a place, but it'll be fun finding out. Next we've got Ancient Mysteries and Secret Mage. Yep, this is what they were missing. I mentioned it when I talked about the secrets coming in the new expansion, and also the two very strong Mage secret support cards. One of them does 6 damage and the other one that deals 3 damage to the board. This one is very good. Ancient Mysteries. Draw a secret from your deck and it costs 0. So what that means is that you can draw it and play it on the same turn. So you're getting a 1 mana discount on secrets, but you also get the benefit of that secret not being in your deck anymore. So that helps you to top deck better cards. This is a good way. It's a nice card. I don't know whether it's as good as what we've seen previously of the way that Mage would cheat secrets out. They used to have the 2 mana 2/3, which was draw a secret, and that put stats on the board and it was tempo. This, if you play it on turn 2, you get to cheat out a secret a bit earlier, but you don't have the minions on the board. So it'd be interesting to see how it works, how it plays, but I think it's a very good card on its own because it draws a specific card. You don't get to pick the secret, but it draws a specific card or type of card, and it gives you a 1 mana discount on it. This will also be randomly generated, so in some instances it will be bad, but a lot of decks I think will run some secrets. So yeah, it's a good card, I think. Does it knit Secret Mage together? This is exactly what they needed. They needed specific secret draw, but I don't know whether it's good enough because you're only drawing one. So we'll see. It's a very interesting card though. Next we got the Living Monument, a 10 mana 10/10 with Taunt. Don't put this card in your deck. It's just standard. Playing this on turn 10 is not a powerful play. It's not a bad play, but it's not great. This is one that you'll get out of Conjurer's Calling or evolve into. Or if you're playing Dual Paladin, that kind of thing, you want to cheat it out. It could maybe go into Plot Twist Warlock, but no, I don't think so. So yeah, it's just pack filler, but it will be part of the game in random generation, I think. Next, we got the Faceless Lurker, a 5 mana, 3 attack, 3 health, Taunt minion with the Battlecry double this minion's health. This card is very good. A 5 mana 3/6 is what it will be if you just play it on its own. With Taunt, that's okay. Those stats are nice. It needs a bit of a better effect, but you can double Battlecries with Shaman with their quest. This would then double Shudderwock's health, because when you play Shudderwock again, it would do that, which is quite nice. But I think where you want to play this is in Taunt Warrior, where you can buff all of the minions in your hand. This health gets buffed, and then it gets doubled. It's a really... it's not going to break the game, but it'll be a really nice card to play at that point. There are a lot of Taunt minions. Will this one take a spot? Because I've said before, Taunt Warrior has so many cards where you think, oh, this is amazing, this is really good. But they don't have too many ways to buff the Taunt minions. There's the 2 Into the Fray cards and also the legendary Armadillo. So if you don't draw those cards, you can't play them. You can't buff the cards anymore, and then this is just pretty standard. So we'll see. It's an effect that will definitely be used at some point in the game, especially in Battlecry decks. So it's pretty cool. Next is the Candletaker, a 3 mana 3/2 with Reborn. This card's okay. It's kind of standard. The stats are low, but it comes back as a 3/1. So it's a sticky minion. Reborn decks want this. Maybe Priest wants it. I don't know. I don't really think so. But all of the Reborn minions are kind of easy to deal with, but you do have to deal with them. So that's the point I want to make, is they're easy to deal with, but you do have to deal with them. So if you've got a bunch of Reborn minions, our deck's going to find it hard over time to keep dealing with them. That's going to be the question. This one, though, isn't anything special. I think it's just kind of a fair card. Next, we have Penance. 2 mana spell for Priest. Lifesteal, deal 3 damage to a minion. 2 mana, deal 3 damage is very good. The fact that it's lifesteal as well is even better. It synergizes with the Priest quest because you're healing with it. I think this is a very strong card. It's low cost. Another low cost spell for Priest. And early game kind of control that they need a lot of the time if they're not playing early game minions. So Penance, I think, is a strong card. Anything for 2 mana that can deal damage to the board is going to be good. So I quite like this. 3 damage is quite a lot for 2 mana. So yeah, very good. Another good Priest card. Priest has got a lot of good cards. Next we've got History Buff. This card's good. You might see a lot of this. 3 mana 3/4. So if you play this on its own, you're just getting a decent turn. But if you get the effect to trigger just once, it's already a good card. Whenever you play a minion, give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. This is like a Zoo deck's dream because they love to play low cost minions, and they love to play low cost minions that have been buffed or can be buffed on the board. So, and they've usually got a handful of lower cost minions. Giving them randomly +1/+1 is very good. So Zoo Warlock would love this. I can see maybe Hunter liking this sort of card. Like Halazi the Lynx is not a good legendary, but it does have some pretty good effect giving these 1/1 minions with Rush. And if you can play Halazi, get like 6 or 7 of those in your hand, play the History Buff as well, then every time you play one, it's buffing other ones in your hand, and that's pretty powerful, right? Because then you can rush, you can make lots of board clears. They're all beasts. Yeah, I think in Hearthstone you're going to find some easy ways to make this worthwhile. Does it win you the game? No, but does it make a minion-based deck better? Absolutely. Holy Ripples for Priest, a spell, 2 mana, again very cheap. Deal 1 damage to all enemies and restore 1 health to all friendly characters. This is a very good card. It's just like Holy Nova, which is 5 mana and does 2 damage and restores 2 health. This is half the ability, but less than half the cost. So I think this is a good, strong card. It can be combined with Wild Pyromancer if you need to do extra damage to your opponent's minions. A low-cost spell that plays with Pyromancer is very good for Priest, because not only do you deal 1 damage to your opponent's board, you then deal another damage from the Pyromancer, and you'll be able to restore 1 health to yours as well. So I like it. It's low cost. It's nice low cost removal. It deals with Reborn minions very well because they all come back with 1 health. I think it's a very good control card for Priest, to be honest. Later on in the game, it's not amazing, but like I said, you can combine it with Pyromancer, or it's a low-cost spell that you can cycle with your Auctioneer or something, depending on what sort of type of deck you're playing. The health contributes to towards your quest. It can contribute to drawing cards with Nausea Cleric. So yeah, it's got lots of uses. Being cheaper, yes, the damage is less, but it makes it more versatile. So I like this card. Next, we have the Wasteland Scorpid. 7 mana, 3 attack, 9 health, poisonous beast. This won't be played very much. It's got a very good effect, but we've seen cards like this before. My Exno, I think, was a 6 mana, 2 attack, 8 health beast with poisonous. That was actually one of the very first legendaries I had when I first started playing Hearthstone, and I was like, oh, this card is amazing. And yes, when you play it, it's pretty good, but it's too slow, and your opponent just can remove it or make some efficient trades into it, and eventually it's not great. This is a 7 mana, 3/9 beast with poisonous. There'll be ways which you can make this good. If you can put Howlmaster on this, for example, that's very nice, but I don't really see it being powerful enough for people to play, to be honest. It's a neutral minion as well, so it doesn't just have to go into Hunter, it can go anywhere. But yeah, not for me. Next we have a Vesina. This card's good for Shaman, legendary, 4 mana, 2 attack, 6 health. So the stats are kind of not great for that mana cost, but the 6 health means it will probably stick around. While you're overloaded, your other minions have +2 attack. Now, I talked about token decks for Shaman before. They love buffing those minions, especially with attack. Bloodlust is extremely powerful, but the problem with Bloodlust is often it's a dead card in your hand. This isn't, because you can just play it as a minion, and it will be a target for your opponent to remove for certain, which is quite nice. Sometimes, even if you don't have this effect, just playing it down means your opponent's like, right, I've got to get rid of that, and they can make suboptimal plays or waste some of their removal on it so you can play other minions later on. So it's very good, but basically the idea is, while you're overloaded, not very hard to do in Shaman. You basically just buff other minions on the board. So Thunderhead's a very good way to generate minions. Your totems are a very good way to generate minions. So whenever they're on the board, your opponent's really got to be on the lookout for not only Bloodlust, but this as well. Because all you have to do is do a Lightning Bolt face. If we play this Lightning Bolt face, everything's overloaded, and they get +2 attack. And the fact that you only have to be overloaded is that it kind of counts over 2 turns. The turn that you play the overload, and also the next turn when you're overloaded. So yeah, it's a very strong card. This will go into a lot of aggressive Shaman decks that just want to either go face or make efficient trades. This is a 3 mana 4/3, the Ramkin Wild Tamer for Hunter. Battlecry, copy a random beast in your hand. So I said a lot of classes got strong 3 mana 3/3s. Well, this is the strong 3 mana 4/3 for Hunter, and I think it's 4/3 because the Battlecry isn't as good as some of the other 3/3s we've seen. Copy a random beast in your hand. I think this is a good card because when you play a 3 mana 4/3, it's nice, especially for Hunter. It's aggressive, it trades well. You put it on the board, and you get an extra card generated in your hand. Now, you have to have a beast in your hand, so the downside is maybe you don't have a beast in your hand, but that's so easy for Hunters to do. And even if you copy a Springpaw, it's still extra fuel for you to use. So it's a good card, basically. I think this will see play. Is there any specific targeted beast that you want to copy? Yes, anything you've put Dire Frenzy on would be really nice to copy. It is random, so that's hard to do, but with Master's Call and stuff, you're always going to have a beast to copy, so I think this is going to get you some good value. Next, we've got Sandstorm Elemental. Battlecry, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions, overload 1. 2 mana 2/2. This is good card again. It overloads you for 1, but dealing 1 damage to all minions, particularly Reborn minions, is going to be good. So Sandstorm Elemental into Shaman, I think, is a great card. Maelstrom Portal was played, and that basically summoned a random 1-drop. Well, this is better than a random 1-drop, but you have to pay the cost of being overloaded by 1. But we know Shamans sometimes like to be overloaded, so this is a solid card. It's a fair card, which I think will be played in a lot of decks. Kobold Sandtrooper is a 2-mana 2/1. Death Rattle, deal 3 damage to the enemy hero. Cards like this are interesting. Now, I think it is good, but only in very specific decks. Like, if you're going all-out face, 3 damage is a lot to do to the enemy hero. Especially if they don't remove it, you could do 2 itself and then 3 damage. That's 5 off of a 2-drop. It can really, if you're playing ultra-aggressive decks, this might be something you want to play. But if you can trigger Death Rattles twice, then it does 6 damage. So yeah, I don't really see it being played very much unless you're playing ultra aggressive decks. Pit Crocodile is very interesting. 8 mana 5/6 beasts, so weak stats, but the Battlecries deal 5 damage. That's pretty good. Don't forget, with Shaman's hero power, you can then deal 10 damage. That's a lot of damage, and then when you remember it can go face, that is even better, right? Dealing 10 damage to face is a real threat at certain points in the game. 5 damage when you're on turn 8, is that going to be enough to kill stuff? In a lot of instances, yes, but sometimes no. But it then does give you an efficient trade, with the trade-off being that you've got a weaker body on the 8 mana minion. It's kind of like a Firelands Portal, which was 7 mana, did 5 damage, and summoned a random 5-drop. This is deal 5 damage, summon a 5/6. I think it's quite good. Is it good enough for Constructed? Maybe. We'll see. But more of an arena card. We'll see about Constructed. Crystal Merchant. This is a 2-mana 1/4. If you have any unspent mana at the end of your turn, draw a card. So this is just a nice buff for the quest in Druid. Unspent mana is what you need to fulfill to complete that quest. And drawing cards always very nice. So if you play this on turn 3, it's a 2-mana 1/4 to draw a card. So you effectively pay 1 mana to draw that card, which is nice. The stats, then, it does kind of leave you behind on the board, but the idea is you complete the quest and catch up later on in the game. So this is a good card. You're not going to play it in any deck apart from the Quest Druid, though, to be honest. It's just one to supplement that kind of archetype. Garden Gnome, 4 mana, 2/3, Battlecry. If you're holding a spell that costs 5 or more, summon 2/2 Treants. So if you get those 2/2 Treants, it's a good card. So it's a 4 mana 7/6 then. And I talked about how good a 4 mana 7/7 is, but I think it's easier to play a secret in Hunter than it is to play have a spell that costs 5 or more in your hand. There are a lot of good Druid spells that cost 5 or more in your hand, and Token Druid does play a few of those, but Token Druid doesn't really struggle with card generation. They don't, board generation. They don't need this extra type of card in there. It will be tried. Is it worth playing? I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't play a lot of Token Druid, but it feels like a Token Druid type card with some nice stats for 4 mana. But is the requirement too much? Not sure. Neverset Thrasher, 3 mana 4/5. Whenever this attacks, deal 3 damage to your hero. This is one of those cards that has high stats with a downside. Playing this on turn 3 is a real threat. And the good thing is it's not a Battlecry to deal 3 damage. It deals damage when you attack. So it's going to be an interesting one in those sort of decks that like to do that, like Zoo. And also we've seen some synergies with Warlock where you want to deal damage to your hero. There's the card that summons a random 3-drop if you deal damage to your hero. Well, this is one way to activate it. Your opponent can't just ignore it and let you keep attacking. Because if you attack a lot of times with this, you're doing a lot of damage. 3 is a lot. But they can't ignore it because at that stage, it's good control to trade it, and also it's going to be doing quite a bit of damage to face. So this is a good card, especially if you synergize it with other damage synergies. Next, Temple Berserker, 2 mana 1/2 minion, has 2 attack while damaged, and it's reborn. Okay, this card's okay. Basically, when it comes back as a 3/1, which is quite a threat, really. I don't really see it being played too much. We really need to play with the Reborn minions to feel how good they are. but this is a pretty standard neutral minion, I think. Next we've got Beaming Sidekick, 1 mana, 1/2. Battlecry, give a friendly minion +2 health. This is quite nice, but it does require you to have another minion on the board. A zoo deck might like this type of thing because it allows you to do an efficient trade, but usually it's better to have +2 attack rather than +2 health. So I don't really see a place where this would be played right now. I don't think it's worth it. The 1 mana 1/2 on its own is not bad. Giving you another minion +2 health can be good, but we'll see. I think Zoo could make it work. I think you would mostly prefer +2 attack rather than 2 health. We'll see. Sinister Deal. This is the generations for Warlock for Lackey. It's a 1 mana spell, discover a Lackey. Discovering a Lackey is good. You've got a 50% chance of getting what you want because there are 6 Lackeys, you'll discover 3. And being able to pick which Lackey you want, that's pretty powerful. So I think this card's good. 1 mana cards that generate other cards aren't often amazing. Like discover a Taunt minion, or discover an Overload card, discover a Battlecry minion. But I think discover a Lackey is different because it will always give you a 1-cost card, which isn't hard to play. Warlock has got some good Lackey synergies that we've seen coming in this expansion. So I think Sinister Deal isn't what I expected. I was expecting a Warlock to get something with a more consistent, not consistent, more that can generate more Lackeys. This is only going to generate you 1 Lackey, and you can only put 2 in your deck, so you're getting 2 Lackeys. And then you've got the Evil Genius that will give you some Lackeys. So it doesn't seem like they can create a bunch of Lackeys because they have that new legendary that makes your Lackeys 4/4s. That's only good if you're playing a bunch of Lackeys, right? So yeah, this card on its own is good. Is Lackey Warlock good enough? I mean, it seems really powerful. I just don't know how they're going to create enough Lackeys. That's my issue with it. Injured Tolvir, 2 mana, 2/6 with Taunt. Battlecry, deal 3 damage to your minion. If you play this, it's a 2 mana 3/2 with Taunt. That's okay. If you're playing a Taunt deck or you're playing a heal synergy deck, then this is a card that you want because you can heal it up in Priest. That's good for the quest. If you're playing Taunt Warrior, you can buff it, and it's a low-cost Taunt, which you're not going to be able to heal in Warrior. But playing a 2 mana card that has decent stats already that's been buffed is good. So yeah, this can see some places in certain decks. Worthy Expedition, a 1 mana discover a choose 1 card for Druid. This just goes in the quest, right? I think this is probably less good than discovering a Lackey, but if you've completed a quest, the choose 1 cards are always pretty good. So yeah, in that kind of deck, this is nice. I don't know, maybe Druid would like it in all sorts of decks, really, if you want a value kind of deck, because the choose 1 cards are usually pretty good. So one to watch, but definitely one for the quest. Tomic Surge, give your totems +2 attack. It's 0 mana. Shaman does need totem synergies. Do you often summon that many totems? There's the new totem which generates Lackeys, so you're going to be putting totems on the board, but I don't know. This one, they don't have enough totem synergies in my opinion. Giving them +2 attacks pretty good for 0 mana. It's better than the give your totems +2 health spell that's already in the game. I think it's better because this will have more impact on the game. We'll have to see. I think this will get randomly generated off the Hagatha a lot, and then you'll find some good situations for it. But I don't think it's something you want to put in your main deck. Clever Disguise is for Rogue. 2 mana, add 2 random spells from another class to your hand. This is very good. 2 mana to generate 2 spells is slow on the turn you play it, especially in a class like Rogue. But 2 random spells from another class is nice. I think it's better than that you have a spell pool rather than just minions, because you can get some pretty powerful spells. And it completes half of your quest just with this 1 card. So you just have to play it twice and the quest is done. It activates Vendetta, activates the Underbelly Fence. It's a good card. And that's it. That's all of the cards. Wow. I went on quite a long there. We were almost at an hour, but that was a lot. 48 cards is a lot of cards. Guys, this expansion is very strong. There are so many cards which just seem like overpowered. Now, when you put them in the pool all together, they won't be as overpowered because the cards your opponents playing are overpowered as well. But I think this expansion is going to have a big impact. Often when new expansions come, like Boomsday Project, Rastakhan, after the first 2 weeks, you're only playing with about 10 cards from the new sets. Now, I think there's going to be a bunch of them. The quests are interesting. We got some good ones. I'm not so excited about the Singleton decks, other than it's going to be fun to play with, which is probably more important, to be honest. But I don't think they're going to be meta-defining. Maybe Mage can do it. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching all of my reviews, guys. If you've made it all this way, congratulations. That was a long video. I need to have a drink because my throat is really dry. But thank you very much for watching this, guys. I always appreciate your feedback, and thanks for sticking with me. So I'll see you in the next video. I'll be doing a couple of videos before the expansion releases, but I can't wait to get my hands on the new cards and start doing opening my packs and making some cool new decks. So see you soon, guys.